Okay, first of all, I just wanted to say welcome everybody to South Bend. Nothing against Christmas, but this is the most wonderful time of the year as we get to the mid and late portion of March. A few housekeeping notes before we get started. First of all, my name is Max Toma. As a courtesy to all of our fellow media members, as well as the coaches and the student athletes we have up here, please silence your phones throughout the press conference here. Also, before you ask a question, please provide your name and media affiliation. That's each time you ask a question, whether you're here in person or on Zoom as well. And if you are joining us on Zoom, please use the raise your hand function for questions. We will address questions in the room first, and then we'll get to everybody on the Zoom as well. And then just lastly, recording press conferences via your cell phone or camera is prohibited as well. So with that said, we got Audie Crooks and we've got Addie Brown here from the Iowa State Cyclones, and it is time to open up the floor to some questions.
Tommy Birch, Des Moines Register. Addie, what have you guys seen on film so far from Princeton?
I think they're a team that does a lot of things based on technique. They're pretty sound offensively. I think they take their time, also getting some plays. I know they rank among the lowest in possessions per game. So just taking that in account and making sure that we really pay attention to the little things that they run in their offense, because it's nothing dramatic, but it works. It's simple basketball, and that's just kind of how they play the game.
Yeah, they're a very fundamental team. I mean, they all play their role very well, so we just got to make sure we're paying attention to personnel and just doing what we do best.
I think they kind of have three elite scorers, kind of like you guys do. Is there some resemblance to kind of how you both are built, maybe?
I don't know if I'd go that far, but no, they definitely are great scorers, not discrediting them in any way. I just think that our team plays a lot faster, and we play a different, I think, kind of form of the game, even though you could say that we have three scores, they have three scores. That does probably resemble a little bit, but we're all, I think, unique in our own way.
Connor Ferguson, Cyclone Fanatic. For both you guys, and sorry if you were asked this at the last presser, but now that we're a bit closer to it, kicking off Emily Ryan's last tournament run, what's the motivation to have success this week for her?
I mean, we all love playing, under Emily Ryan and for Emily Ryan. She's been a Cyclone here for 5 years. I mean, she's been through it all. So just to, kind of see the work that she puts in every single day. She doesn't take a day off, which is really inspiring to all of us. And she's just, one of the best leaders I've ever been around, one of the best teammates I've ever been around. So you always want to finish things the right way when you have teammates like that. And that's just kind of our focus, is one game at a time, but making sure that we're leaving it all out there, not only for her, but just for each other as well.
I agree.
And then another one for both of you guys, coming off of kind of near record-setting performances and big single-game outbursts from both you in the Big 12 tournament. How much does that raise your confidence level and get the momentum swinging in the right direction for each of you individually, but also with the rest of the team and how they were able to help you get those points?
Yeah, I think it definitely feels good when you're able to contribute in a significant way, especially at the Big 12 tournament and heading into postseason. It just kind of gives you a little bit more motivation, a little bit of a bigger chip on your shoulder to, prove the point that you are an elite scorer, an elite player, and that we are an elite team, and that we belong in this tournament. And yeah.
Audie, you talked a little bit the other night too about that chip on your shoulder heading into the postseason. What kind of created it? What motivates you guys? What is it that you're trying to, prove or show people?
Well, to put it simply, I would just say that I feel like I got to be real careful here with my wording. I do sound like Coach Fenn. I just think that we have a lot to prove, and that sometimes we fly a little bit under the radar. We played probably the toughest schedule in the country, and our record reflects that, and I think that kind of allowed people to write us off a little bit. But I just think that we're, like I said before, not a team to be messed with, and we need to be taken seriously, and that's just kind of the chip on the shoulders to show that and to prove that individually and collectively.
You want to chime in, Hattie?
I think she covered it all. I think we definitely played a little bit of that underdog mentality. I personally feed off of that. I feel like we were definitely overlooked, but at the end of the day, you just got to go out there and do you and prove yourself right. It's not about proving others wrong or anything like that. It's just about proving yourself right.
Audie, last year in the tournament, you had that big breakout game, and it seemed like that kind of put you on a bigger platform. Just what did that do for you? And, you know, can you have that type of performance again this week?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I think for me, it just, like you said, kind of amplified me personally and also us as a team. I mean, any success that I have is the team success, not necessarily about individual things, but whenever you have the opportunity to bring attention and awareness to women's basketball and to Iowa State women's basketball, that's just a really big thing that I take a lot of pride in. So, yeah, I definitely hope to do that again this week. So,
how do you guys mentally and physically, I guess, prepare for what could be a pretty daunting week of possibly 3 games?
I think for us, it's just take it one game at a time. I think a lot of the teams get here and overlook what's in front of them. So I think for us, our focus is all in on Princeton right now. And once we, get through that game, we can think about what's ahead. But right now, that's just where our mind is and where our energy and everything's going to go. And we got to take care of that game first.
yeah, and I think it definitely helps coming off of also like the Big 12 tournament. We're kind of adapted now to go, and we definitely had some space in between, but that's not something that we're going to shy away from, the physicality and the frequency of play.
Caitlin, Urka, ESPN. You guys had a week off, right, after the tournament. I want to know, what did that week look like for you guys? What was practices like? How do you balance both rest and recovery as well as keeping intensity up for a tournament?
Mm-hmm. So we had a few days that were just completely off. I want to say it was 2 days maybe, just off. And then to kind of rest and reset. And then we had practice and really just focused on the fundamentals of our team and what we do. We broke down our offense, broke down our defense. How can we improve as individuals, as a collective? Where can we be stronger? And then also how can we build up for these matchups and for March?
You mentioned this team might fly under a lot of people's radar. So if someone's tuning in for the first time for this tournament, catches you guys on ESPN this week, what is it that you want them to know about the Cyclones and the makeup of this team?
I think, we just do things the Iowa State way. We do things the right way, try and play, the game the right way, do stuff off the court the right way. We work extremely hard. It's a special group of girls that we have, and we're all super close. And I think we're just going to come out here and give it all we have every single game, and I hope that people can see that when we play, every time we step on the floor.
Yeah, that, and I also think that we play the game with such like an intense passion and love for each other that you can definitely tell when we're playing basketball that we're having fun. Like, we're celebrating each other's successes. We just love this game, and we put our heart and soul into it. We put a lot of time into it, and so does everybody else. I mean, we just love each other. We're a really tight-knit group, and I think that helps us on the floor.
And then you guys have played in some really close contests down the stretch this season, including in that tournament. What have you learned from those experiences that you think might be able to help you manage close games in this tournament?
I think that we have learned a lot about ourselves and about our makeup, a lot about how we react when things get tough. I think for a majority of the time when we are in those close games, we never really fall down. We always get back up, and we're still in the fight. So it's just finishing that fight and finding some extra gas in the tank to be able to have those games swing our way. So we totally intend to do that here in March.
Yeah, we're always going to fight back. We get knocked down, we always get back up. And I think for us, just kind of limiting any slow starts. We want to come out right away and kind of hit first, not get hit first. So that's kind of going to be our mindset going into these games.
I'll ask a question for me. You guys and Princeton are both top 15 in the country in field goal percentage. I know you guys kind of talked about it, alluded to it early, but how important are those first 5 to 10 minutes or so to kind of, force your pace as opposed to theirs? Because it's quite a contrast there.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I'm excited to see how it goes, but we're just going to stick to us and play our brand of basketball. And I think we're going to do that, by playing fast and getting up and down the court fast, and they're going to have to adjust. We're going to have to adjust to their pace. So it's going to be interesting, but I think we're just going to do what we usually do, and yeah.
Setting the tone early definitely helps set up our offense and our defensive flow, and so once we're able to get into that flow, I think we're a pretty tough team to beat, so we hope to do that early on.
Any other?
Audie, what for you, A lot has been said about this sophomore class that you're part of this year, and I'm curious when you hear your name flown around with a lot of the great sophomores that we could see at this tournament this weekend, right? What does that say about the state of college basketball, and what is it like for you to have your name brought up with all of these incredible talent that everyone is saying is the future of women's college basketball?
Yeah, it's a great honor, and honestly, I love to see the game grow in any way that it can, and if I'm a part of that, I love it even more. So it's just really cool to be among those names, and just for women's college basketball to finally be getting the platform, and women's basketball as a whole to be put on a bigger pedestal, just to have the platform that many before us probably should have had, and to have the viewership that people before us didn't get, and just to even know, like, our Iowa State alumni, like, those women were fantastic, and probably 80% less people knew about them because they weren't put on that pedestal. So just using it graciously, being grateful for the moment, staying present, and appreciating where I am.
And you strike me as just a wee bit competitive, right?
A little bit.
Do you have your eye on any of those other members of the class and trying to, maybe make sure that your performance is up there and being regarded either as high or even higher in that case with some of those other members?
I don't know if I'd go quite that far, but just excited to hopefully perform well in front of any opponent that's in front of us. But yes, playing great competitors such as those in the sophomore class, definitely looking forward to that, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Got time for one more question? Tommy, you want one?
Yeah.
Mike's coming right here.
Cool. I was just kind of wondering, have you guys ever, thought about what things would have been like had you had Kenzie the full year? What type of impact could she have possibly had for you guys?
I mean, yeah, it comes across, a couple of times we see her over there working really hard to get back on the court and rehab and stuff, and she's a phenomenal player. I mean, we're going to be really excited to add her back to our team next season, but I think you kind of just got to, like Audie said, stay in the present, and I think that's something that, isn't possible for us to have her back right now, so we got to just kind of look at the pieces we have and go from there.
Yeah, it's super unfortunate, and prayers and thoughts, of course, to her when that happened. But she's working really, really hard to get back, and all we can do for her is be supportive during her process. But she would also hate us if we were looking back and played the game with any sort of reserve. So just marching on forward and keeping her in mind, but also doing what we need to do in the present.
Okay, thank you, Audie. Thank you, Addie, as well. That'll do it for our student-athlete portion of the Iowa State press conference, and be joined by Coach shortly.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks, guys. I like the old school style.
For the recording? Yeah, it's ncaa.veritone.com, Veritone. Wasn't sure if I was supposed to bring it up at the end of that one or the
Nice to meet you, Max.
Nice to meet you as well.
Cubs got it too.
Too many Cubs people.
And with that, we welcome in Iowa State Cyclones head coach Bill Fenley and your opening statement.
Obviously an honor to be here. This is, for us, for me, the greatest sporting event there is. And for Iowa State to be a part of it again is great. And certainly want to thank all the great folks at Notre Dame for all their work. And we're like everyone else. I had to play tomorrow.
Okay, sorry.
Tommy Birch, Des Moines Register. Bill, what kind of stood out to you on film about Princeton?
I think the biggest thing for us is their balance, offense and defense. They don't have anything that jumps off the page. All their numbers are really good, and they'd probably be even better. They played a little slower pace, but their numbers are, they have a lot of people can score. They can defend it in a lot of different ways. So very impressed with what they do, how they do it, and certainly presents a great challenge for our team.
Is it the slowest pace you've seen this year, or compared to anybody?
Good question. It's one of the slower paces that we faced. We don't see a lot of that in our league, but the efficiency that they play with reminds me a lot of like a Utah kind of team. And obviously we watched that and saw them play a very good Utah team really close. So it's a challenging thing for our team because we don't see that a lot. So you have to understand that going into it, and hopefully that's what's great about this tournament is you see a lot of different styles, different situations, and hopefully we're ready for it.
How do you kind of combat it when it's really not what you guys do?
You can't. I mean, we're not a team that's going to force them. We're not going to press them and make them do different things. I think sometimes when you get into these events, sometimes you overthink it. There's a reason you got here. Just play our game, and it comes down to who's going to make a shot. A lot of times the officiating is different. You see new people, so how's the game officiated? A venue that you haven't played in. My guess is the place won't be packed tomorrow. So you got to create your own energy in that regard. So, but I think the bottom line is just you want your players to enjoy it. Sometimes I've made that mistake many times where you get so crazy about everything that you don't get to enjoy all the stuff that goes with it. So there's a reason you're here, play that way, and hopefully it's good enough.
Offensively, do you feel like you guys are in a good rhythm, even, I guess, with all the time off, but maybe over the last 5-6 games, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, our offense has been okay. When we don't turn the ball over, we have some kids that can score. Obviously, I think our balance has been better lately. You're right, the time off has been really hard to manage. It's the first time we've really had to do it to this length of time. So we've tried to balance practice and time off and not bore them to tears and do the same thing all the time. So our kids have handled it really, really well. Just so proud of the way they've managed themselves all year. And so hopefully we'll be ready to go.
I was talking to Kenzie a little bit ago, so it's kind of random for you, but just how would you rate like her toughness, and then also just what type of impact she could have had for you guys?
I think the two things I would say, she's one of the tougher kids I've been around. Obviously, we didn't get to coach her very long, but when you hear the doctors talk about the severity of the surgery, and like they were like, I've had football players who wouldn't have played through that. I mean, she is one tough you-know-what, and it would have dramatically impacted our team. She's skilled, she's tough, she can score, she can defend. She's been in this situation before, as an NCAA player. So, but it was by far the best decision for her long term, not just basketball. I mean, you don't want someone who's, 30 to 35 years old and can't get out of bed and can't pick up their kids and can't do the things you want to do. And that it had to be done. And to our medical team's credit, our doctors, I think she's in a good spot, and she'll be ready to go next year.
Excuse me. Yeah. Connor Ferguson, Cyclone Fanatic. Coach, felt like some things kind of clicked for you guys in the final 10 games or so, and you really ramped up to this point in the season on a good note. Do you think your team is playing its best basketball right now?
Yeah, I would say yes. You can look at things that you didn't do or did do, but I think overall we've played really well in February. Leading into March, I thought we played well in the Big 12 tournament, lost to a really good Baylor team. Our only 2 losses are to Baylor twice, and I think they're very, very good. And I think our team probably, kind of played through some things. When you're in a collegiate basketball model that is everyone needs to get older and older, we actually got younger, and that's my fault. I think our roster construction probably could have been a little better. But I really liked what we had coming back and liked what we added, and I didn't feel like we needed something else. But I think when you're at the end of the year sophomore, you're a little bit better than a beginning of the year sophomore. If it might not be that simple, but I think for our team, and managing Emily Ryan's minutes has been a chore for everyone. So, but yes, I would say that we're probably playing as well as we can play.
Obviously, you hope for that to play as well as you can or the best you can going into this tournament. But I guess you've had a lot of these. Is that typically the case for your teams? Is this different? Is this a big advantage this year? Where would you kind of put that on the sliding scale? I know that's kind of a weird question.
No, I don't. There's no such thing as a weird question. Believe me, I've sat up here a lot. I've had a lot of questions, so don't worry about it. I have 4 grandkids too, so don't worry about it. I get a lot of weird questions. I'm trying to think. There have been times we probably haven't been playing great. We played great and kind of limped it into the finish line. This year, I think we are playing as well as we can play. But again, that changes. You guys know me. I'm a baseball guy. Momentum's as good as the next day's starting pitcher. And, if we don't play well tomorrow, it's not because we weren't playing well. It's probably because Princeton played better. But our kids are really excited and looking forward to it. I told them, I said, this is the greatest sporting event there is, and we are the very first game of the NCAA tournament. And I think that's cool, and we're looking forward to it. And, I really want to thank the folks at St. Mary's. They let us practice there yesterday. That was great. And it's fun to be here. I was here a long, long, long time ago. My youngest son was actually born in South Bend, so that's kind of cool for us. But it's been fun. We're looking forward to playing. It's been a long time since we played a game. It's time to play. Time to play.
And you've talked about turnovers and trying to limit those. At the same time, having Kelsey Jones in the role that she's in and getting rebounds, how big is that to have that grit in this tournament, and how impactful is it in these types of games?
Oh, it could be real impactful. Obviously, when you get to this part of the season, everything is so magnified, and there's a lot of games that change or win or lose by a hustle play, a play that, doesn't appear in the stat sheet but changes a game. And you see it, starting in the conference tournament, and, there's a loose ball here and there, and Kelsey does that a lot. But, yeah, we get a little loose with the ball. Sometimes we're not some of the decisions we make, like I told my trainer, I'm like, can we test them to see if we're colorblind or something? Because sometimes I don't know what we're doing. But, I always tell them, like, it's like life. If you don't think it's a good decision, don't do it. All right? It's midnight. Okay? You're going to a party. Maybe it's not a good idea to make that decision. Do something else. It's like, they don't lose their phone. They don't lose anything. But the ball just doesn't seem to be as important. Sorry. As important. My man over here is going, what's he talking about?
I love it.
But, no, it's when we take care of the ball, we can score. When we don't take care of the ball, we get a little bit crazy, and defensively, we're not one of those teams that's going to overpower you, so we better value the ball a little bit more than we do at times.
Hi,
Hi.
Caitlin Orca, ESPN. Thanks, Coach, for your time. Curious,
you.
to be one of only 15 teams to make the last 6 NCAA tournaments, and to have that kind of longevity. What's the secret, especially in this age and era where you've now seen transfer portal and NIL and all these various things? How did you maintain that level and standard of excellence?
I think the really thank you for the question. I'd say the simplest answer, and for the people that cover me know I'm pretty much to the point. I get myself in trouble a lot because I say what I think, and especially at this point in my career, what are they going to do? They can
So it's
fire me.
midnight and you're going to the party?
It's real close. It's real close to going to the party. Yes. I think there's really 3 simple things, and it's fact. I have a phenomenal administration from our president down. They value women's basketball. They really do. They don't value it because they have to. They value it because they want to. I've had a staff that's been with me for a long time. They have done, the last 2 years, they could not have done a better job than what they've done. And then obviously it comes down to we've been very fortunate to have really good players, but really good players that understand us and Iowa State. I tell our players all the time, we want to embrace who we are and not apologize for what we're not. We are not for everyone, but with our fan base, and it's just that was the one thing I told our players after when we got selected. I mean, you think about that. 15 teams, 6 in a row. 15, not 55, not 155. You just don't take that for granted because obviously you don't know if you're going to be in again. You can't assume it's going to happen. And for some of our players, this is the first time. For Emily Ryan, it's the 5th time. And so on the bottom of my practice card, it says Selection Sunday, March 16th. I mean, that's, besides Christmas, Selection Sunday / St. Patrick's Day is the best time of the year for me. So we love everything about it, and we embrace everything. We have fun doing it, and we practice hard, we play hard, but I want our kids to enjoy it. Hilton Garden Inn was phenomenal, by the way. Love that place. They were so gracious. Had all balloons and trees. It was fantastic. That was great. Thank you to them.
Coach, despite that, the fact that you have been in that elite company, Audie was up here a moment ago, and she said, the team kind of feels like they're often overlooked. Or maybe, not talked about in the same conversation that they should be. So I'm curious for people that'll be tuning
Audie
in.
said that?
Yeah.
She gets talked about all the time. Anybody gets talked about more than Audie.
Well, that being said,
I get you.
maybe she tried to be a nice team player there on the team. But I'm curious, for people that are tuning in for March Madness for the first time and maybe seeing you guys for the first time on ESPN, what do you hope they take away when they watch this Iowa State team? What would you want them to know about you guys and your program?
What I want them to see, hopefully, is a team that plays really hard, plays the game the right way, and plays the game with a sense of joy and appreciation that, I don't want them all, all upset and fighting and especially now. I mean, every coach in the country is going to say everyone's, going to lose at some point except for the team that wins the whole thing. And I told them this morning, I said, this is a really special time in your life, a very special group of people, but it's going to end. Not just the season, but there's people in our locker room that they may never talk to each other again. Trainers, managers. I just don't want them to take that for granted, and I want people to see that we talk about the Iowa State way at our place. I just want them to see it and enjoy it and play as hard as we can for the folks back home that are going to be watching and getting ready to watch our guys on Friday.
With that, we've got a question on Zoom from Jen Hatfield.
Hi, Coach. Jen Hatfield with the Next. I just wanted to follow up with the questions about Princeton real quick. You mentioned their balance and their pace, and I'm just curious if it's one of those things, or maybe something else that's tough to prepare for about them, specifically on that quick turnaround you mentioned being that first game?
I think the biggest challenge for us is to stay locked in defensively because they're going to run the clock, they're going to run their stuff. If you break down, you're going to give up an open three. You're going to give up. The thing that they do really well, because of their pace, they don't get credit for, they offensive rebound really well. And the number doesn't show that, but because they don't take as many shots. So, and historically, we've been a team that's very personnel driven in a scouting report. And I don't know that they have one person that you can, or two. I think they all have the ability to score. So historically, that's been a problem for us. So we've got to do a little bit better job of that, and hopefully that'll be. And then, when you get into this, it's special situations, inbounds plays, late shot clock stuff, all those things that coaches, talk about all the time that players ignore, become really big now, and hopefully we'll be good there.
Anybody else? We got time for one more question? Okay. Coach, thanks so much for your candor and your levity. I think
Thank you, guys. Appreciate all your time, man. Enjoy yourself.
Final reminder that Hammond Communications will post a recording of this press conference in the NCAA Media Hub at ncaa.veritone.com, and transcripts are provided by ASAP and will be posted shortly.
It's a good thing I said low bar. All right, see you guys. See ya. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you. No, appreciate it.
Nice to meet you, Max.
Pleasure.